I also thought it was a $5 Starbucks gift card, so seeing it was 25 kind of made the night. So I've been attending Eastside off and on since I was in Kids Side, and those years had been a little rough for my family, so our attendance was at intervals. I remember showing up and seeing other girls know all the worship songs and were close to the leaders, so I never really enjoyed going because I didn't feel like I belonged. Then JHM began, and my mom sent me to camps in hopes that I could make great memories and connect with God. In the grand scheme, it worked. It created some bonds that are still lasting. I even got baptized in 2018. After a couple weeks, the mountain high, as they call it, wore off, and I was back to going to church simply because my mom wanted me to go. A little thing called coronavirus came into play. I was a very social 14-year-old and nearly falling down a path that wasn't for me. Going to high school, the need for attention and approval from others started to grow, so being in lockdown was a real struggle for me. I mentioned to my mom that Eastside was starting house groups, and that I thought about going just to meet people and get out of the house. That same week, we went to an event where I met her friends' kids, and she told me to invite them. I shook my head, saying that would be so embarrassing, but she made me do it anyways. And at house groups, I met David and Miss Jess, and a whole bunch of different types of kids. After a while, it was no longer different types of kids, rather than just kids who needed to be somewhere and be taught something. And by the way, those girls she made me invite would become two of my best friends and bring me closer to God than I could have ever imagined. God has impacted my high school years by giving my life structure and a set path. It's a very malleable and scary time, and we can feel very alone during it. Decisions are very important, and this is when we decide our futures and shape who we want to be. So having some guidelines really helped narrow down the choices. It helped teach right and wrong. Being surrounded by girls my age who had the same faith as me also made it feel less alone. It allowed me to express my feelings without having to explain the thought process behind them, because they understood where I was coming from. I learned not to judge them in the same way I trusted that they wouldn't judge me. Even if we were struggling with believing there really is God, we showed up. We showed up for our friends, for the free food, and just a great lesson. I think even without mentioning God, we learn valuable life lessons each week. In high school, it's a stereotype we've always been taught, but it's true. Gossip happens, jealousy takes over our lives, lust and hatred overpower other emotions. Our faith allows us to be forgiven, as well as teaches us how to avoid, overcome, and work through these inevitable situations. I want to encourage HSM students to not give in. Don't hide your faith. Social media and peer groups can give Christianity and our beliefs negative connotations, so this caused me to be embarrassed. I never shared that I wanted to spend my Sundays at church. My friends all come from different backgrounds and different ways of being raised, but most importantly, they all had different opinions and values that could be seen as clashing with church views. I didn't want my friends to feel unsafe or judged by me, so I never talked about Sunday mornings or HSM. Over time, I learned that my people felt the same. My own group was also timid in speaking about their beliefs. This allowed me to realize that if I were to be more open, maybe those around me who aren't connected to God can see what He and His words are truly about. So I dedicated myself to that. I spoke out about what I love, who I love, and how they can receive His love. And so now I lead a group in Kids Side with Jade, and we get to connect to those little girls who are shy and forced to be there and who feel as if they don't belong, just as I felt. Not only that, but being faithful to myself, I reevaluated who I surround myself with. That need for validation has been overthrown by the love I feel from God. This connection is what I needed in my life and a religious gateway to open up new opportunities for growth, healthy relationships, and love for everyone and everything. I'm grateful for HSM and all that it's given me. Sarah, Nathan, and before them the Shermans all taught great lessons that keep teams of all people engaged and involved. Connecting with our leaders over the past years have really turned them into family. The silly, intellectual, and emotional conversations held at our table could be a part of a study. Miss Jess and Miss Katie can truly say they've been through it all after dealing with us. And it's because of them and all the leaders who devoted their time and lives to us that we have grown to love and connect with God. So I wanted to share a verse that kept coming up this week. And it's Romans 12:2, and it says, "Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Test and approve what God's will is, His good, pleasing, and perfect will." What I didn't understand before coming to HSM is that I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be, I'm around people who I should be around. I just needed to accept that. And that was the toughest thing for me. But after having events and learning to speak about it, was I actually able to accept God. And I hope you can too.